Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Brief intermission. I got kicked out of this room that I was using in the library, and as I left, there was this big crowd of people. Like, what the? It's past 3:30, man.
Did you get into a fight?
No, I said sorry. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I said
Did anyone get punched?
no. I said let's see. Doi Chi, just in case anybody spoke Chinese. But
Are you
yeah,
saying?
ladies and gentlemen, so we're talking about video games.
Oh,
But
we're
yeah,
gonna.
how's everybody doing in our audience?
Do you think they're gonna answer you?
Yeah, of course. They should in the comments. I've been waiting for somebody to comment in like one of our videos, post a freaking comment, but not yet. When the first person does, I'll know we'll be getting bigger.
I remember when I was living in Orlando or Winter Park,
Yeah,
Florida. It's a bad time for me.
it was. It
Um,
was. It was pretty depressing just to think about. Yeah.
yeah, but uh, there was a arcade there where you could go play like Call of Duty or whatever on like a server with people all over the world.
Okay.
And so I would play these team games. But what I would do, because I'm an asshole, is I would just shoot people on my team the whole time.
That's so funny.
And just and they'd be like, "What are you doing? I'm on your team." And one of the guys who works there came up to me and like kicked me off of the game. He said, "You can't shoot people on your." I thought that was
The gamers are just like noob,
yep. Yeah.
stupid idiot, noob. Yeah.
Because again, like we were saying, after high school, I kind of quit playing video games, and I think you said you've stopped playing. But you know, a lot of
I just
people,
wasn't good. I wasn't good, and I think that was my big thing is if I'm going to spend time with something, I know if I spent time on it, I'd get good. But my thought was, why spend time on it? Because there's
you don't really
better
get
crap to
anything
do.
for it except it entertains you for an hour.
I honestly would rather read, and I know that's lame, and I may not have always thought that, but I think at least at this point, I'd much rather read. You know, I don't know.
What are other video games that you and I played? Diddy Kong Racing, there's Mortal Kombat. Um,
Well, I definitely had, Halo was massive. Halo was massive. I don't think you and I played, but just sort of
no.
going on your thought with Orlando. Uh, I had a friend, Jarrett. We've talked about Jarrett, and Jarrett disappeared from the world for a little bit, at least, the actual world. And then he arose as like this Halo master. And I was like, what is that? What is Halo? And he just, was startlingly amazing at this little, my little Asian friend. And I don't know, Asian guys can be so good at video games. Like even, I like to play chess, like a video game chess on my phone, and I play against my Asian friend that I had. And he's also startlingly good. I suck at it compared to him. And I'm glad that he has patience with me. And I usually only win against him after time and time again playing him. And I think he just sort of gets bored. And I'm like, boom, gotcha. And then it sort of brings him back. He's like, okay, I got bored. But
Chess is
Jared, was ridiculous at Halo. I mean, just not just for me either, but he like was ranked in the world.
so yeah, and I never really got into Halo. The first time I saw Halo, I was at a with this I was like 15, I think,
Mm,
or 16, and I was in New Mexico with a friend of mine, and he got me so high. And I was in this house with five other kids. We were stoned. And when you're in New Mexico, you're high, like the
yeah,
elevation. So you get like when you're a teenager. So I was like out of my mind. And that was the first time I saw kids playing Halo. There were like a
yeah,
bunch of kids at this house. I don't know where the parents were. It doesn't matter. And it was and like I was watching them play Halo and I was freaking out a little bit because like there were like all these green guys running around and it was
Yeah.
intense. And I said I never want to play Halo. And that's when I started to lose interest because you had to press 5 buttons just to move the camera. Like I
I
just,
was terrible at moving the guy.
yeah,
I was so
exactly.
bad. I
Like yeah,
didn't like how it was a pilot kind of movement where you press up and he goes down.
exactly. It was frustrating. And I just like this is too much work just to
My
play this.
character would always be running around like
Yeah.
like this on the field, and the guys would
Yeah.
just be like,
And
I'd finally
like
get down.
you'd play with kids and I'd tell them like, hey, listen, I'm not very good at this. Can you like take it easy? And they never take it easy. It's like they just blow you away. And it's like, well, I can't play if you're not gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
But
true.
Dave, my
They
buddy,
liked me to be a shooting target. You know, I wasn't much good at being competition. I don't think they cared. I think a lot of kids don't even care. You know, it's like if you're their friend, you can be a shooting duck for them,
yeah, it's
a
just
spitting
like,
duck, shooting duck.
and I like,
I saw my cousin. This was before World of Warcraft because that World of Warcraft was a big game, but
it still is.
it still is, and it's weird to me because I don't know,
You
like
were
it was
addicted to
not
it.
first. Warcraft was not first person until World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Before that, it was a strategy game, and
Mhm.
I just saw my cousin playing it once, and I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "This is Warcraft 3." And it was a new game. I mean, like when I was in 10th grade, you know, and it was a strategy game,
Of
and
course.
those were big back then. And I watched his strategy, and I never chose a different strategy, but I played it myself at my house with my cousin's strategy over and over again. I mean, I guess you can only have one strategy, and that's fine. I mean, really, if you know, like realistically, if you perfect one strategy, I guess that might be a good technique, you know?
Yeah, I remember you getting addicted to World of Warcraft in 10th
You,
grade.
yeah, I did rifleman, and then I think I upgraded to knights, and then I upgraded to griffs.
Yeah, I
But the
wasn't
best
getting
feeling
into
in the
that.
it was the best feeling in the world when your griffs were just destroying somebody else's land and their people, and they're just like bombing them.
Well, people get really addicted to World of Warcraft and people like have not left their bedroom and like died because they weren't taking care of themselves because they were
Right.
addicted to it.
Oh yeah,
It's a big problem and this and I don't know. I'm just glad you survived it.
I got my son a video game for his birthday last year. It was expensive. I mean, I was sort of in a different place, like right after my divorce, and I sort of was kind of sitting on like a bunch of cash. So I bought him this video game thing. It's called Steam Deck. And I don't think I would have done that again. I mean, all his friends had the Nintendo Switch, and I didn't really know that before his birthday. So I get him this Steam Deck that's sort of a handheld computer. You know, Steam is a computer system. It's massively popular.
Yeah, I know what
Any
it is because
if anybody is actually watching this to this point, they know Steam. I mean, they have virtual reality, VR. You know, they have all sorts of games, right? And
yeah, I've used Steam before.
so they made Steam Deck, which is just basically, you know, like a Game Boy for their for their computer games, you know.
Mhm.
And it's extremely lifelike and we've had fun. I mean, he's had fun. I did, you know, my own techie thing, which was I plugged it into a a projector screen. So it ended up looking like this little handheld computer thing ended up just looking like it was across my wall. And it was really pretty sweet. I mean, you know, like a movie theater of a game system, you know. I don't know. Will got in trouble, so I had to sort of take away any sort of games that were slightly violent. So I had to take away Lego Batman, which was the only violent one. We still have it sitting there, but we can't
Lego
use it.
Batman?
Yeah, you cannot be Lego Batman or Lego Robin. without beating some people up. So I did. I had to take that one away. He can only play the non-violent ones, and that's fine. So we only have the one violent game, which is Lego Batman. And then I bought Hitman, which I was gonna try to like keep separate, but then I accidentally bought a game for him on the same screen name. So now we just have Hitman sitting there too.
What's Hitman?
I don't know, just like it's like a James Bond one, but
Okay,
he's
where you're
bald.
shooting people.
He's bald. He's like a bald hitman. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. Okay, now I know with the bullseye on his head or whatever.
I don't know.
Okay. I might just be making that up.
Yeah. No, video games were fun. I think for kids to do nothing together with.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
just a way to kill time and like I
fun.
loved video games when I was a kid and like yeah.
Which ones have we not talked about? I feel like a lot. I mean, Mortal Kombat wasn't just N64 for us though.
No, yeah.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah, because I had Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 and then on Nintendo 64 they put out Mortal Kombat Trilogy which had like all the characters. And then they put out Mortal Kombat 4 which I had for N64 where it was 3D instead of like by this, do you remember Mortal
I mean, when
Kombat 4?
I and you invited me to your house, I sort of looked at you as a kid I was going to use for his video games, but here we are 30 years later. I guess that was not true. Little did I know.
Well, yeah, and again, my house was where everyone came to watch R-rated movies or play violent video games because I was allowed to do that stuff.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
like having I like having, you know, I don't know, entertainment as a part of life. Like, and this is sort of random, but I did buy this SUV back in January. Yeah, almost been a year now. It's a pretty old car, but it did come with a TV. And I think I've showed the audience this before, but here I'll show you. See, there's a TV on the screen, you know? And I do think like my kids like it. Like I have Toy Story for them and stuff, just having some entertainment.
yeah, I would have loved that as a kid.
It was a B word to try to get the radio to be able to have the audio for the TV. I mean, the screen was easy as cake, but then to actually get the sound from the DVDs on, I had to take it to somebody and pay them. I had no idea. I still don't know how they do it.
You need to hook up you should get an old school Nintendo and Super Nintendo and hook that up and
You know what? I bet we do have an old school Nintendo, and I bet it would work in here.
Super
I
Mario
have never
Brothers
even
is a
thought of that.
classic
You
game.
brilliant man.
Super Mario Brothers is classic.
Yeah, we have there's like this thing you put in a USB and it has all the games.
Oh,
And
okay.
honestly, you
Yeah,
have a USB on this DVD player, so
yeah.
I do
Okay.
appreciate that.
Okay.
I'll pay you. I'll send you some money for that suggestion.
Yes. Please send me money. As I'm sitting in this dark corner of a room in my all black clothes, looking like a drug dealer.
I have a black hoodie too, but mine has Atmosphere, the wrapper on it.
That's a nice, is that a hoodie?
Yeah.
That's a nice one. I like
Yeah,
that.
I bought it at a concert I went to for I saw Sublime in Rome and Slightly Stupid and Atmosphere was there. I have been going to Slightly Stupid concerts for years and years, not consecutively, but like
I don't know
when I was
Slightly Stupid at all. Is that ska?
it's like well, it's sort of like reggae rock. I mean, like Sublime. Loving is what I got.
No.
Said remember
I am
that.
so sick of that song. I
I
am
know you don't like
so
that song. That's why I mentioned it, but
Well, we talked about this on another podcast about how sick I am of that song. And every time someone has an acoustic guitar at a party, they would play that song and
I
how
don't know
tired
why
of it I got.
the biggest reggae rock song. It's got to be of all time.
It's considered like ska music, isn't it? Or
I
ska is what it's called.
I think of ska. I think of a different. I think of
They have trumpets and shit.
trumpets. Yeah, where Bradley Noel and Sublime they brought sort of a. It was
More
reggae. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, because reggae, I mean, Bob Marley sounds very distinct, where it's sort of like on the upbeat of music,
Hmm.
and that's what Sublime was doing, except with electric guitars, and I guess also not just electric guitars, but he was using, like heavy metal kind of sound. What would you call that? Distortion on his guitars, and
Distortion, yeah.
I don't think Bob Marley was doing that as much.
No. Yeah, they weren't not in reggae, like especially at that time. It was more like simple guitar, you know what I mean? Not
Yeah,
like a
smooth rock. I
distortion.
mean, he used electric, but it was smooth.
Yeah, it was smooth sounds.
I like Bob, obviously, and I think all of us did that knew about the ganja.
And
Like,
Bob Marley is from Wilmington. He lived in Wilmington.
he's
Represent.
not from William. Yeah,
He's not from there, but he lived there.
he certainly lived there. Yeah,
But in downtown Wilmington, there's a big giant mural of him, and I think Bob Marley lived there for like 2 months.
yeah,
We still have a mural because what else does Wilmington have?
right,
Nothing.
right. If it didn't have a mural of Bob Marley, it would have a mural of like a bank and like
Exactly.
some sad old, you know, you know, I don't know, banker like
Yeah.
trying to get somebody this money, like,
George Thorogood is from Wilmington,
which is cool. Yeah,
which is
actually, and
cool.
he went to a school that I visited. What was that school?
That's just, he went to where I went, Brandywine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he went
But
to the Brandywine, and then I don't know where he went to college, but he went to Brandywine where I went for 2 glorious years.
one bourbon, one scotch,
One
and
beer. I love that song.
I ain't seen my baby since I don't know. Yeah, it takes a while for him to get into that rocking part, you know?
Yeah, but I like that he's like ducking his landlord and just not paying the rent. And he's just like, I love that part of it. Like, why don't you just pay the rent? He's like, hey, I ran away from my
My old lady.
landlord because I didn't have the rent. Well, I'm like, what's he gonna do? And then he just gets drunk, and I'm like, no, George, that's not
Yeah,
the answer. You need to
yeah,
figure out how to pay your rent, George. You're just
yeah,
drinking your life away. And
yeah.
then George looks at me and he goes, one scotch, one whiskey, one beer. And I'm like, all right, I tried to help you, George.
He went on for like 5 to 6 minutes
I know it's like a 10-minute song and he never pays the rent. He just keeps drinking.
before he actually starts singing. So I'm
I just
tired. I'm
I just love that part of it. He's like, I ain't got the rent, man. I ain't got it. And
talking to
that's
my
what,
old lady. Doesn't he say my old lady? Is
yeah,
it?
my old lady. Da, 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 da. So he's not paying his rent. He's got problems with his old lady, and he's just getting drunk.
Yeah, yeah. He also did. He did a lot of drinking songs.
Yeah, I drink alone. I
Yeah.
drink alone. Burnout. But like the thing is like in real life, I don't think he's really like that. Like I think it's an act. I think
You want,
he,
want a Jack and Coke? Nah, nah, I'm good.
yeah,
Come
yeah,
on, man.
yeah.
Thinking about it. Nah, it's all right. I'm
Like he claims to be bad to the bone, but he doesn't look bad to the bone. So I don't know. I don't know how much street cred he had.
good. Yeah. You can do it. If you rock a guitar, I guess you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played guitars for, I mean, like so many years, and I think they're fun. I just don't do them right now. I have them. They're sitting there. They're sort of now like, as most guys, I think it becomes just sort of a piece of artwork in your house.
Well, I bought an MPC, as we all know, and I find that like this weekend I haven't used it at all. Because it takes a longer, way longer to make something on the MPC than it would on the computer.
Right,
So I'm making stuff, but I'm not making like a ton of stuff. But
right.
I have to be in the right mode for it. But last weekend
Sounds
I
like
made some stuff.
you have stuff
Huh?
going on anyway.
Was that?
This weekend, it sounds like you had other things going on.
Yeah, just this weekend was a tornado of craziness. But I got a cartoon done this weekend.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, they're doing very well now on Instagram.
Yeah, you need to make a cartoon of us and then put it at the front of our show.
Yeah, that's what I was supposed to do last week. Did we do a podcast last week? Is anybody watching this going to be interested in what we're talking about now?
I just don't think anybody watches it, so it's fine to just talk. I mean, we'll watch it someday, like when we're like really old, like remember this, we're
You know,
gonna be
I
like
think I think we could make a best of and put all the best moments in and make a movie.
yeah, that'd be sweet. We'd just be sitting there.
Yeah, and then in the movie it'll we'll sh I'm not picking my nose, by the way. I'm scratching the side. Um
Seinfeld made a joke about that.
so we'll make
He's
a movie, a
doing
90
that,
minute movie,
doing
and it'll
that,
just
and
be
he's
us
in a
talking about
car, and a lady's looking at him. He's like, "Ah," because she drives off.
it. No, see, I wasn't really.
Ah, nah, it's okay. You can pick your nose too if you want. I don't care.
Should be end the podcast now.
My my sons picked their nose. It's like, get away from me with that.
Remember that kid Joey at Centerville that picked his nose all the time?
Yeah, Joey Bodner.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say his full name, but sure.
Well, it can't, we can't. It wasn't Joey Marrow, so it had to be Bodner.
Joey Bodner.
Yeah, I mean, he still had his cool preps. He was still cool. He had his Jinko jeans.
Yeah, he was like one of the cool kids, but he could not stop picking his nose in front of everybody. Like, he just did
Everybody
not
has
give a
their
shit. And I
everybody has
remember
their yes.
our gym teacher yelled at him in front of the class, like, stop picking your nose.
Mr.
No,
King.
it ain't good. It ain't good. And I thought that was mean. Like, why'd he do that in front of all the kids, you know?
Yeah. Everybody has a bad moment with Mr. King.
I remember you did.
Yeah, I slam dunk on the small basketball nets when he said not to. And he was
Yeah.
like, get to the office. I was like, no, this stains my record of never going to the office.
You and I got kicked out of a couple classrooms there.
And then he came up to the office after recess and he slammed me into the wall and he was like, don't do that.
Yeah,
I was like,
that which is
you're
kind of like you
offense
should not
now.
supposed to do that. I think he could have totally gotten fired for that.
It's like
But
your offense is way worse than me slam dunking after you told me not to.
there was one time you and I were in a class with Miss Watts, and she was doing a computer class,
Yeah.
and we were being obnoxious, and she kicked us out. And Mr. King walked by and saw us in the hallway after getting kicked out, and he started laughing at us, and he's like, "What did you guys do now? What did you guys do now?"
So when we went to Williamsburg, Miss Watts forgot to take me because I was peeing in the bathroom, and she had taken four of us to the bathroom, and I was urinating, and she leaves with the other three, right? And it was the greatest moment of my life because because I had to walk off, talk to these like colloquial English people in their costumes in their yards of Williamsburg. And my teacher had forgot me. I was like, this is great, like Home Alone. And then they all came and they figured out where I was, came and found me. Like it probably took them about an hour or whatever to like figure out a kid was missing. They had to go get him. And then I just made fun of her. It was really bad of me, Houston. I regret it.
I
And I remember,
remember that we were all waiting for Sean, and I was just kind of like all mad because now you were getting all the attention. And I remember being jealous. Like I wasn't worried about Sean being lost. We were
yeah,
all looking for Sean, and I was like jealous, like because no one was paying attention to me.
I was having the time of my life with the colloquial Williamsburg English people. But anyway, when I got on the bus, I made Mrs. Watts feel very bad and and rubbed it in her face. And
So
then what happened was the next morning, right? I was eating this breakfast and I was sitting right next to Mr. King. He said, "If you sound like that, why don't you go eat with the animals?" And you know what? I got really upset. I felt really bad. I didn't understand, but probably years later I looked back and thought, that's probably because I was being a little dweeb about being left, and he was just taking out his own anger in his own way.
Yeah, but still, he shouldn't have grabbed you by the shirt. You know
Uh,
what I mean? This
yeah,
wasn't like the 1950s. This was like the early late 90s or whatever. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but that school was weird. And
Ryan Scanlon,
rest in peace.
he's yeah, I should not be smiling about that. It's really sad. But anyway, he told me a story where he gave him a nookie and he saw flakes of hair like falling out. I was like,
Ew.
yeah, that balding B word. I was like, Brian, I don't think that's how it works. I don't think like, in one noogie, you're gonna go and just get more bald. I mean, it's not how it works. I mean, like naturally we sort of shed every day. I mean, if you did get a few twigs of hair out, it's probably just a natural process of like human shedding instead of like some sort of like accomplishment of making him more bald.
Yeah, that's yeah, yeah, freaking Ryan Scanlon. Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
cool. We need to make a movie about that school or write a book about that weird school, Centerville.
it's true. I mean, there's Samuel. He was a character.
Sam, I always think that I see people that look a little bit like Sam, and it always makes me like wonder, like, what is he up to now, Sam? He was such a bad, he wasn't like a bad kid, but he kept getting kicked out of the school.
Pretty calm.
Remember? Hmm?
I'm sure he calmed himself
I hope
down.
he did. I
He,
hope he did, because some of those kids didn't call.
I think my guess is he's much more calm. He might still be crazy, but I think he's got to be more calm than he was.
Yeah, and I ended up with a lot of those Centerville kids at Delcastle.
Oh,
And Delcastle, was not the nicest school. It was a tech school, kind of like Howard, where you went.
yeah.
And I don't know if anyone even is interested in any of this, but remember I went there with Ryan, showed up there, and then Josh Rosinski showed up there, and
Right.
I think Sakta was there, and a couple other kids, I think, from Centerville.
It's because none of their parents believed they could make it through college.
Exactly. And I was at a tech school. I don't know why I went there because they had a video audio visual program.
Yeah.
And Dave and I were there too together. But yeah, a lot of those Centerville kids ended up at Delcastle.
Hmm.
Delcastle was rough.
That's where Ryan was carrying.
Yeah, that's where Ryan came in the school and he had a shotgun in his bag.
And Josh was like, "You're not going to shoot me."
He was, yeah, and she was just showing it to us because this was Delcastle. It was, I guess, not out of the ordinary there, probably. But yeah, and he showed us the bag and he was showing us the gun he had and he was talking about how he was in a gang and stuff. And Josh was like, "She gonna shoot me? We gonna shoot me?" I don't know why he said that, but and Ryan was like, "No, no," and he talked about how he went to go visit Centerville. And like he said, "Yeah, Will's still there. He says what's up." And I'm like, "Cool." Like, that was weird. That was very weird.
Kids in Centerville were weird. They like collected the weird kids from the pool around Pennsylvania and Delaware and brought
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, a lot of those kids were from Delaware and, some of them were troubled.
Yeah. And Mr. King was troubled.
Yeah. And our teachers there were troubled helping troubled kids.
It was a bunch of, yeah. Just even the kid. Yeah, I believe that. I believe even the adults were a little bit
Yeah. It was
troubled.
alternative school. It was weird. It was a very weird, I've never had an experience like that anywhere else at any other school. Very strange.
Well, I'm grateful that it and brought us together. I mean, seriously. I mean, there's millions of people in this world, and I've never really been able to. I have a few close friends, but you're certainly the longest standing of anybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
been through together basically throughout it all. That is pretty insane. And you had a pretty insane 20s. So to sit here and still be talking
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna live to be 30. So
I, sounds like a guy from I don't know if, from Compton would say that or
yeah, like I came up with a totally fine household, and like I'm not the person who would be saying that, but like, yeah, I don't know. Your 20s were a little bit crazy too,
yeah, they were. Sure.
but I mean, that's the
What
time.
happened was for me was, you know, I escaped a very, I feel like a very disciplined childhood through a Mormon church, the Mormon church. And the thing is too, and that sort of calmed me down. I mean, you have to, if you're gonna do that, you got to be calm. And I think that was good in a way. I honestly do. I don't know if I ever really cared about what it was saying in terms of like a belief, but I believe it was good in some ways, like to calm me down and things like that. I mean,
You
after
did,
college,
you did calm down.
I almost died and stuff.
Yeah, and you did calm down because when you and I were in Florida, you were not calm. And
Right.
but yeah, Florida was weird. That was a weird time in my life.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we went to, and like lived in the same area again.
Yeah. I
But
still
think,
your house in Orlando, like your room, your apartment.
yeah,
And
Jason, my roommate.
yeah, I remember watching him eat McDonald's fries for some reason.
Yes, and he liked to watch cartoons all day, which I loved cartoons. I mean, I make cartoons, but like it was like all he wanted to watch was cartoons. It's like, hey, let's watch something else. Like,
Right. Yeah, I think that kid is I hope he's doing good. Wonder what he's doing.
he is. I see him on Facebook. He had an issue, I think, with drugs at one point, and then he got sober. So, but I haven't seen him for a while. I hope he's all right.
Yeah, there was a kid in Arden in my town in Delaware. His name was James Gervin, and him and Ryan Scanlon, I think we're like a little bit on the same level of like
Yeah.
just
I
things.
forgot that James lived in Arden. James was a bad kid
Yeah, he was
because
notorious.
he he was a very bad kid, and I knew him because he went to school with me
Where?
at Brandywine,
Yeah,
and he was kind of a bully, and
he was.
but he tried to be friends with me because I was friends with you.
Right,
And so he kind of tried to be my friend and befriend me. And I kind of was nice to him, but I was a little bit like, I don't know if I want to be friends with you because, yeah, he was scary.
right.
Like, and I didn't need scary friends at the time.
I think, it's interesting. I think it came from a weird relationship. He didn't really have one with his dad, but he had one with his mom, and his mom was a saint. But it was one of those situations where she was so nice that he could do whatever he wanted.
Yep. Yep.
And
And I know a lot of kids. I think Ryan was kind of like that, wasn't he? Wasn't his mom?
yeah, exactly. She was a
Yeah.
saint. Yeah, she's a saint.
But yeah, and that's the problem sometimes when that happens. Like,
I think Ryan when he set himself on fire. This is such a story, but I mean, when he set himself ablaze, I think he became paralyzed at that point.
really?
That fire accident. I don't
Yeah.
walk again. I think he became a par- what do you
Paraplegic.
yeah, I think he was paraplegic.
Oh, it
And
sucks.
for that, I think, yeah, it was sort of just he just didn't care about life.
Yeah, that's sad. But like, I don't know. We don't know what happened to James, right?
Yeah. No,
Because
I know. So I was on Facebook stock like everybody, and he had gotten out of rehab at one point, but I have no idea. He's a massive man, just massive.
who, James?
Yeah, that was always his build. I mean, that's one reason he
Oh
could be
yeah. I was happy that like he wanted to be on my side, actually.
right.
I was like happy that he wasn't bullying me because I saw him bully some kids there. And like there was a kid playing guitar in the hallway
Yeah,
that he didn't, and he just grabbed the guitar from him and he said, "Quit playing that shit." And the kid with the guitar didn't even know who he was, and he was like, "Ooh," and I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to be friends with this guy." Like,
He's like the guy from The Simpsons. Who's
yeah, Nelson. Like he was a bully, and but he would, I think you used to hang out with him from time to time. You guys would, I don't know, smoke
He's a
together.
neighbor in Arden,
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, we were the same age, and I think before anything happened, my mom was like, "Oh, he's a kid,"
yeah,
and then like yeah, and then she realized eventually that he actually was like a spawn of Satan instead of like an actual child, but no, but for a long time, I mean, even for a long time, when you're 8 years old, even if you're sort of on that path of becoming like a really bad person, I mean, you're eight, so it's like even if you can see it, it doesn't matter that much because you're still an 8-year-old child. Yeah, I mean, my son's
Ryan.
my son is 8, but I mean, that kid's awesome. I mean, but I think you could sort of like you can see signs of who he's going to become.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I don't know.
He is a nerd, my son, and in the sense that he's very naturally smart. So I try to foster that. But like I'm not going to ever be at his level. I mean, in terms of like intelligence, and when he grows up it'll just be different for him, than I think I can be, but I can still foster it. Like I hear if you read to kids, you know, if you read to kids, it's better for them. So I do that. I try to read to them a lot.
That's a good thing. Yeah, I've heard. I mean, I don't have kids, but I've heard. Yeah, reading to them is good. Uh, Reading to them at night is good for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I do. I let him drift off to sleep while I read to him. And then Google has this game. It's a game about pie. It's really lame, but if you make anything fun, it's like kids don't understand that it's lame because you're sort of making it look fun. It's like,
They don't
look.
understand that it's lame. I like that.
But yeah, what'll happen is Google will tell you the numbers of pi. And every single time you do it, it'll give you one more number to try to do. And you try to do it as much as you can until you either fat finger it or you run out of what you can remember.
Yeah.
And I mean, pi is infinite, so there's no way. I can get to 40. And I watched him do it. His biggest thing is fat fingering it because he wants to go faster than he.
Yeah, I would never have been able to play a game like that when I was a kid.
Yeah, your side, yeah, that's not your talent. Your talent is creativity. I mean,
Yeah, my talent was never math. I hated it. I would have known right away that it was lame. You couldn't have tricked me into playing that game. Which it's crazy because some people are good at math and like I was good at English in school.
right. You
Like,
were you were insane at English. I was always using you to spell things.
yeah, I could always spell words really well and like because I like the read. Like, but when it came to math, I was just like, I have no interest in numbers. Math and science, I just did not, you couldn't get me to do it.
Yeah. Well, the world appreciates you, Houston, and we're excited to see what kind of films we're gonna. You need I think like your skills and everything can really be expressed in film. You know, just like the guy that made Blue Velvet. What's his name?
David Lynch.
Ah, yeah, David Lynch. Okay,
I started writing a script actually, and
about.
it's about actually it's based on us as teenagers and making videos, loosely
Oh,
based. But the characters have different names and they're kind of different people, but it's loosely based on us.
yeah,
And it's a story about these kids. They're like you and us, and they're trying to make a video in the woods. And they get a group of kids together to make this horror movie in the woods, and they all end up going insane.
I like it.
But it'll be a comedy. It's not going to be like a horror movie.
Right.
But I stopped writing that script a year ago, and you just reminded me of it.
We'll get back to it. Are the kids gonna be kids?
They're going to be
Actors?
like teenagers, I guess. But like like, and they're finishing high school or something, but
Yeah. So like
like,
18-year-old.
yeah, so like I don't know why I'm writing this script or how it's ever going to get made because obviously we're too old to play ourselves. So,
No, we could make it. We
huh?
could make it.
Yeah, we could just but I have to finish the script.
And we'll submit it to a film festival. That would be fun.
The
Dave
old school way.
submitted
Film
his thing
fest.
to film festivals.
Yeah, I have tried many times in my life to make feature films, and it is so hard to
Right.
90 minutes of, and I always gave up in the
Well,
past.
if you ever can find the time, it certainly would be better than Cat's Cradle.
Yeah, Cat's Cradle was supposed to be 2 hours,
I
and we just filmed as much footage of us running as we could and tried to pad it out, and we just gave up. I think Sean and I ended up wanting to strangle each other, and we just gave up on it. But that was, yeah, we were going to make that a feature film. There was a war movie I was making in high school that I wanted to make into a feature film. Huh?
I remember that.
Yeah, because it was when I went to boarding school, but like I wanted you to be in it.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. We were gonna have Jared in it, and then I
Yeah.
filmed some stuff for it, and it ended
No,
up not coming
no.
out.
I mean, and finding are you cutting out? Oh no.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and Finding Emmett was good too. I've always liked your movies, honestly, really do. And your cartoons are good.
Yeah, but like I went through during COVID, I was digitizing the old videos and watching some of that footage of us when we were like younger
Yeah.
is so makes me cringe so much sometimes. But
It
you
was
know,
it was fun. It was almost more fun to be shooting it than I mean,
there was a point where we started to get good, I think.
yeah.
There was like a bunch of stuff we made before that that was just like, this is just, you could
I
tell
you know,
we're
you ever
working our way.
you ever watch people, this is true with Saturday Night Live. If you watch them and they are laughing at what they're doing, it
Yeah.
is sort of funny. It's nice. Like as the viewer to see that. And I think some of that happened between you and I.
Yeah.
And it's like a feel good moment where you watch just two idiots cracking each other up. Like I remember, like I remember a commercial. I think it was supposed to be for Cat's Cradle or something that we did, and it was for Almost Famous 2. Do you remember
Yes. I have that.
that? And we put you in a like a 60s outfit.
Yeah,
And
I'm wearing a hat with a giant wig,
yeah.
like
And
long black hair.
then I think we were in Peter's car.
Yeah. And you
And we
kept
were
honking the horn, and I was getting mad because like you were gonna piss off the neighbors.
first, yeah, but I legitimately I feel like I really do believe I was cracking up during
You
that
were.
thing.
I have that footage. I saw that again recently because I watched everything, and that was in there, and I was like, "Oh, Sean." I was getting mad all over again. And you were cracking up and you kept honking the horn and the dog's looking at us like, because we had my stepsister's dog in the back
Yeah.
as like a prop. And the dog is just like,
Yeah, that's so funny.
the dog is just like, are these one of these guys going to stop being
Yeah.
idiots?
Why am I in this car with
Why
them?
am I in this car with these idiots?
Yeah. Dogs have probably had to see people do so much crazy crap.
No, dogs, yeah. It's a good thing they can't talk.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is about video games. If you have
I,
ever watched our entire conversation, I'm impressed with you, whoever you
yes.
are. You're one in a million. Nah, just kidding.
Are,
Yeah.
are, are we done?
Should we call it?
Yeah, let's call it.
All right. Hasta la 24. Until
Hasta la nueve.
tomorrow.